The story begins from where we left off in the last episode after Superman has escaped from Task Force X and defeated a rampaging parasite in Metropolis with the help of its people. Clark tries to recover from his injuries and rest when he relives Zero Day after the General shows him what happened that day. In his nightmares, he sees the alien armada pass through the portal when he suddenly hears Lois and Jimmy running through the cornfield away from the invaders. The Kryptonian officer sees them and shoots them with his laser eyes, to which Clark was unable to save them. When he unmasked, it revealed to be Clark himself, to which he quickly woke up from the vivid nightmares, sweating through his shirt. Superman quickly returns to Smallville towards his ship and confronts the Kryptonian man in the hologram. He explains how he now knows why he was sent to Earth to conquer it, but refuses to allow his home to be invaded. He then warns him that should he decide to come to Earth again, he will be the one to stop him this time. The man tries to explain in Kryptonian dialect, which Superman does not understand. He claims that Superman doesn't understand the situation and he will never hurt him, which later reveals Superman to be his son. Back in Metropolis, Lois thanks Clark for hosting her and her father for Thanksgiving. Clark claims it's no bother that even Jimmy comes over every other year. Jimmy tells them that he will be bringing yams for this year and makes a pun about being yamtastic. Lois worries that her father may be a lot and wonders if she can still cancel Thanksgiving. As they're about to cross the road, Jimmy stops when he sees the giant lifeless parasite in the middle of Metropolis. Out of nowhere, Clark asks them if they can help him find the General. Lois and Jimmy were shocked by his favor after he had just been kidnapped and almost killed. Clark explains that he has seen what his people will do if they conquer Earth. He decides to keep it safe from Krypton and believes the General is the only person with the answers. When they're both speechless, Clark walks away and tells them he will get their usual takeout to give them time to process his request. As soon as Clark steps away, Jimmy starts to panic, wondering if Clark still hasn't seen the terrifying video Lois got from the League of Loises. Lois claims that he is there to ensure that he doesn't. She worries that Clark is in a bad place right now, and so seeing it would destroy him. Jimmy sarcastically worries that he hates secrets after they just promised each other they wouldn't keep anything between them. Out of nowhere, Clark shows up and wonders what they're discussing. Jimmy pretends it was nothing and claims he is excited to show up for work. When they showed up at the Daily Planet, they wondered what made Perry furious. Perry immediately scolds them, explaining they've brought him more trouble than any other intern he's ever had before. Before continuing, he shows them the newspaper article titled "City Saves Superman," written by Clark, Lois, and Jimmy. He claims that they are terrible interns, so they had no choice but to make them official reporters. Everyone cheered and celebrated the good news, to which even Steve, Kat, and Ronnie welcomed them as colleagues as they stepped into their office cubicles. Perry quickly cuts the celebratory mood and reminds everyone that half of them still have deadlines to meet while the rest of them have to leave early for the holidays. In the mood to work, Lois immediately offers to stay should there be any need, but Perry tells her to enjoy Thanksgiving. Meanwhile, he tells Jimmy to stay behind to discuss Flamebird. Clark and Lois quickly return to where Martha, Clark's mother, welcomes them for Thanksgiving. Lois was shocked to find their first article was already framed. Martha explains it was the nicest thing she has ever read after it was skillfully written by the most talented heroic lady they know. Lois describes how it was Clark who actually saved Metropolis, but Clark's parents agree that he wouldn't have been able to do so if not for her help. While Clark was called to the kitchen to help, Martha thanks Lois. She explains that after his powers showed up, Clark has always been so scared of hurting someone that he kept himself at a distance from others. Now that he has Lois, he has tried to live up to others' expectations of him, saving people with his powers. Seeing Clark patiently peel potatoes, Lois embraces him and tells him she will help him look for the General. Suddenly, she receives a text that her father has arrived, to which she quickly panics about what to do or say. When Lois suggests they hide, Clark reassures her everything will be okay. Clark asks her what's the worst thing that could happen, to which she explains that her father could be rude to him or his parents. Clark comforts her and tells her that nothing will make him change how he feels about her. Skeptic that everything will go smoothly, he opens the door for her father, who quickly recognizes him as the General. To ease the tension, Martha shows up with appetizers. General Lane can't stop staring at Clark and claims he looked familiar. He wonders if he has met him before, to which Clark denies. Making small talk, he asks Clark how he spends most of his time or what his hobbies are when Martha cuts him off and tells him how proud he must be of Lois being smart, hardworking, and successful. General Lane explains that it was to be expected from Elaine, to which he shifts back to Clark. Martha's about to mention how proud she is of Clark, who saves Metropolis, when Clark interrupts her and wonders if they could help in the kitchen. Clark asks his parents what he would do if they were with the enemy. His father, Jonathan, suggests turning him into a friend. Martha tells him he cannot hate his girlfriend's father, even though he might not be the friendliest man, or what he may say about Clark. While they have time, General Lane thanks Lois for spending Thanksgiving with him. Lois claims she has always wanted him to meet Clark and his parents, who she thinks are nice people. General Lane wonders what Martha mentioned about Lois's success, to which she proudly explains how her first article was just published. His mood immediately changed when he realized it was an article about Superman. When General Lane claims that not everyone favors Superman, Lois suspects he has not read it yet. Given that he has never read anything she writes, he explains how he has been busy, but when she asks what, he deflects, explaining that it's classified. Martha asks Clark to wait in the living room like everyone else and leave the turkey to his father. General Lane returns to the previous conversation and hopes to remember where he has seen him. He asks if Clark has ever been in the military, to which Clark claims he has never had the constitution for it. When asked if he was dabbling in applied sciences, Clark claims he's always had his heart out on journalism. When General Lane asks him if he has always worn glasses, Jimmy shows up and breaks the tension in the room. Clark quickly pulls Jimmy into the kitchen and reveals that Lois's father is the general who tried to kill him. Jimmy wonders if he has already told Lois, but he responds that he doesn't know where to start. Martha pulls Jimmy and confides how she doesn't understand how sweet Lois is, but can't stand around her father. Even Lois's father pulls Jimmy aside, so when he wonders if he has something to share, he explains how he doesn't know him. Clark and Lois call for Jimmy, who pulls them both outside the house and tells them he has had enough of being pulled by everyone. He starts by telling Clark to talk to Lois about her father, while explaining how he had the emotional maturity to bring her stuff from work. The video recorder falls off Lois's bag. When Clark picks it up, she sees the video of an alternate evil Superman attacking people. Lois explains how the League of Loises had this file on Superman. She didn't know what was on it back then. She tries to explain that what he sees is not him, but Clark breaks down, unable to process what he just saw. He accidentally opens the recorder, which reveals a piece of the kryptonite, and Clark suddenly falls to the ground with green streak veins all over. As Clark falls to the ground, the ship detects the presence of kryptonite and activates. Jimmy suspects Clark is reacting to the crystal and puts it back in the recorder. Although the kryptonite is already secured, the Earth shook, and Clark's ship resurfaced. General Lane tells everyone to evacuate and explains how the alien invaders have picked up from where they left off. He then quickly calls in for reinforcements, claiming to have found Nemesis Omega. Clark immediately moved his parents to a safe distance, claiming he must secure everyone before destroying the ship. Suddenly, the ship sends in robots shooting at Jimmy and Lois. They get separated, and when Jimmy's about to be shot, he drops the device and accidentally opens the sphere, to which the robot gets frozen when in the presence of kryptonite. Meanwhile, Lois witnesses her father shooting down the robots and overhears him calling for reinforcements. She finally realizes that her father is the general they have been looking for and confronts him about it. Out of nowhere, a giant robot is about to shoot at Lois and the general when Superman suddenly shows up and tears it apart. He and Lois then run towards Jimmy, who finds him surrounded by frozen robots that cease working. Jimmy explains that the kryptonite that hurts Clark also hurts the robots and suggests they take out the rest with it. Suddenly, a portal opens to the sky, which Clark claims is what happened on Zero Day. Clark asks Lois to hand him the kryptonite, believing it will destroy the ship and stop the invasion. Lois refuses to give it to him, claiming she doesn't want him to sacrifice himself for them. Superman quickly flew toward the ship with the kryptonite and pushed it to outer space. The robots realized what he was doing and tried to stop him by shooting him. When he successfully brings the ship outside Earth, he punches a hole in the ship and enters it. He was quickly greeted by an army of robots who surrounded and overwhelmed him. When he is beaten down, the Kryptonian man shows up and helps him reach the ship's center. He then quickly opened the sphere to reveal the kryptonite. Fighting through the pain, he picks up the kryptonite and shoves it into the ship's center to destroy it. The weakened Superman then confronts the Kryptonian man, explaining how he had to stop his invasion to protect his family. Hearing that, his father's earnest wish is for him to live as he put him in an escape pod toward Earth before the ship explodes and closes the portal. General Lane finds Superman weakened and points his weapon at him, but Lois suddenly shows up and stands between them. She asks her father to let Superman go after trying his best to protect everyone. General Lane explains how he has orders to kill the alien invader and claims that he is doing all this to protect her, but Lois claims he doesn't need to protect her from anything. General Lane then reports back to the headquarters that it was a false alarm. When Lois turned her back, her father was already gone. Later that night, they enjoyed Thanksgiving with everyone. Jonathan admits he's at a loss in cooking the turkey and asks for Clark's help using his powers. Jimmy reveals that he has sold Flamebird to the Daily Planet for $5.6 million and claims he is rich now. A post-credit scene shows Brainiac witnessing how Superman stopped his ship from entering Earth. He returns to his boss, overseeing a successful invasion of another planet. He reports how he has found yet another world to conquer after they have destroyed their ships and closed the portals. The Kryptonian warrior claims to let them be for now, as it does not matter, for they will eventually kneel before him. The end. Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos and make sure to subscribe and tap that bell to be notified about our latest videos. We'll see you next time.